corporate
I
pastors?
believe there's about 78 to 81 members of the Democrat Party that are members of the Congress Party.
In 1930, there was a gentleman in Germany that took away private gun ownership. And you know what happened to that population.
He does not want you to have the self-esteem of getting up and earning and having that title of American. He'd rather you be his slave.
That's Florida Republican Congressman Allen West doing what he does best, which is talking crazy. In less than 2 years, the GOP is a big crush on this Tea Party darling, while Democrats can't believe that somebody so off the wall could even get elected in the first place. The goal of our next guest is to make Congressman West a one-termer.
Hi, I'm Patrick Murphy. Look, there's no doubt Allen West says what he thinks, but the taunts, the name-calling, the bullying. Congress shouldn't be a kid's playground. They're supposed to analyze...
The hopes of progressives all across the country lie on the shoulders of 30-year-old environmental cleanup executive and political greenhorn, Patrick Murphy. Good name. Some say he's brave for taking on Allen West. Others say he's crazy. Despite his youth and relative inexperience, Murphy has already raised nearly $2.5 million. Fantastic money for a newcomer, but far short of Allen West's $10 million haul. Tonight, we are welcoming Florida congressional candidate Patrick Murphy into the War Room. Patrick comes to us tonight from Palm Beach. Thanks for joining us inside the War Room.
Thank you for having me, Governor.
You bet, you bet. So we are in a war room. You have a war room. What's it like running against not just the craziest, but honestly, probably one of the most dangerous members of Congress?
Well, look, a big part of why I got in this race in the first place is because of the extremism of people like Allen West. You know, I meet with people on a day-to-day basis, and whether they're Republican, Democrat, Independent, it doesn't matter. They just want to get our country back to work, and they realize that it's the extremism of people like Allen West that's killing the country. So, yeah, people say I'm crazy, but to me, it's the least I can do, because this shouldn't be a partisan issue. We have major problems in our country right now, and we need people that are serious about solving those problems.
I love it. The perfectly sane Patrick Murphy. Of all of the wild things that Allen West has said or done, tell us what gets under your skin the most. What drives you to get a position where you can exhibit sanity?
Oh, gosh, I mean, the list is so long of the things that he's said. It's actually a little bit scary that he ever got elected, to be honest. Something that continually stands out in my head when I see the replays, when he accused 78 to 81 members of Congress of being communists. You know, it's hard to imagine that this day and age he's making accusations like this. I mean, that was a scary time in our country during McCarthyism, and he's trying to bring us backwards. And there's no time for these sorts of accusations. You
have a website, though, that actually probably lists a few of these, whatwestsaid.com. I assume you made that to be able to highlight the fact that he really is extreme.
Yes. Well, look, we don't need to spin anything with Allen West. We just need to remind people of what he said. And unfortunately, he's almost hit this sort of plateau. People expect him to say these ridiculous comments, and they let him get away with it. If, you know, nearly any other member of Congress said this, they'd be on the front page of nearly every newspaper across the country. But Allen West continually says it and gets away with it.
All right, enough talking about him. Make your case. Tell us why voters in your district should choose you.
Well, look, we've got to put an end to the extremism that's killing the country. And my background as a CPA and small business owner, I think, is exactly what we need to get our country back on track. I spent several years as an auditor for Deloitte & Touche. My job was to go into numerous Fortune 500 companies and look for inefficiencies, waste, fraud, something we could probably use a little bit of in our country right now. After that, I went to work cleaning up after the oil spill. When that BP oil spill happened, there was great concern that I was going to get in that loop current, and the oil was going to come down Florida's west coast through the Keys and up the Gulf Stream. I was born and raised in the Keys and avid outdoorsman, and wanted to do my part to clean up. And really, with what I saw, both at Deloitte & Touche dealing with some regulations, whether Sarbanes-Oxley or some other regulations, and then again with the oil spill, what I saw really opened my eyes to government's involvement in all of our lives, and I feel we can do a much better job. And you know, unfortunately, with the economic situation we're in right now, it shouldn't be a partisan fight. You know, whether you look back historically, whether it's 9/11, whether it's Katrina, we came together as a country, and right now that's the same situation we're in, and we must unite as a country and solve the problems at hand.
You seem like a perfectly rational, articulate, smart young person and willing to put yourself out there. At the end of the day, though, are there enough sane Democrats and independents in your district for you to be able to beat Allen West?
Well, that's the great news. Allen West is one of the only Tea Party members that's actually in a Democratic-leaning seat. This district voted for Obama, so the numbers are there. You know, we just have to get people out to vote. There's no big secret here. If people show up to vote, we win this race. So we are currently dead tied in the polls right now, and as we start to get our name ID up and introduce ourselves to the voters in the months to come, we plan to run a great campaign and really get our numbers up, and I think we have a great chance to defeat Allen West. You know, I meet with Republicans, Independents, Democrats, and I can't tell you how many Republicans are coming out of their way to support us. We get unsolicited phone calls from Republicans that say, look, Patrick, I'm tired of the extremism. I'd rather vote for you as a business Democrat than this right-wing extremist Allen West.
Well, I'm telling you, we are really grateful to you for running, and we're grateful to you for coming inside the war room. Patrick Murphy running against Allen West. And now